Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our latest Blacklist Season 9 discussion. We are here every Thursday with you guys between now and October 21st when we are back on the air. We are really closing in now.
Less than a month, guys. Less than a month. We are really close to getting to that Season 9 premiere. We're really excited. We can't wait. There's all kinds of different directions that they could be taking this show now. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
What we have done for this video is that we have dug this giant rabbit hole in the ground here, and that we're all about to dive into it collectively as we talk about the newest, I guess you could call this like a teaser art or like a premiere date announcement photo that NBC has posted on Twitter.
But before we get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. As Matt said, we are here every single Thursday. We're going to be here once the season starts. Every Thursday after the show, we're going to have a review, and then we're also going to have a preview up later on during the week. So there's lots of Blacklist coverage here, and the best way to be able to stick with us is hit that subscribe button, and then you won't miss any of our videos and discussion.
Also, follow us over on Instagram at Matt and Jess TV, because we have everything from dog pictures, cat pictures, our plants, donuts. The weekly donut event challenge continues.
And then we had Matt eating a bunch of Skittles this weekend, which was a series of pictures you probably don't want to miss. It was really interesting. There's like one Skittle that's like super sour and you don't know when you're going to get it, but I got a picture of it.
It was an emotional roller coaster like no other, kind of like the end of the Blacklist Season 8.
Okay, so there's new premiere date artwork that was released by NBC, and it's up on their Twitter. So if you're looking for it and you want to see what it looks like, we don't have it here in the video because we never post any artwork or any video or any photos of anything that we do not own the copyright to. So if you do want to check it, head over to NBC's Twitter, but not until the end of this video. Don't leave us.
So this artwork is really, it's about the Blacklist, but by this we mean the actual physical Blacklist. And they don't really show like an actual grid or document of all the names or anything else on the show itself all that often, but there have been sort of variations of sort of a form or a document listing off the names and the numbers and all of that. Like the first instance, because we did a little bit of research coming into this video, like the first instance we sort of saw of like an actual physical written down list was back when the Blacklist was doing like comic books, and this was all the way 5 or 6 years ago. This was a long time ago, before some of these theories were even around. That list first kind of surfaced there.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't seen the artwork, this is sort of what the artwork looks like. It is like this list of all the Blacklisters and their numbers, and it is flipped upside down. There are 5 names on this list that are redacted, so they are covered up in black. The bottom part of the list, which would be like the top 10 or top whatever, is cut off. And then on top of it just has, season 9, the date that it's going to be back, and Blacklist.
In NBC, you guys knew what you were doing with this, that you were just going to screw with us mentally for the next few weeks.
Because this, like Matt said, this list has popped up through the comic, through other sort of just on social media, where there's been more names over the years that were redacted off this list, and now we're down to 5 names.
It is really intriguing what they're sort of doing here, and I think the biggest immediate takeaway I had from this is okay, well, they're still actually promoting the physical Blacklist, so clearly this is going to still be a part of the show somehow, unless they're just straight up trolling us. But I wondered after Liz's death, are we actually going to care about this anymore? Are Blacklisters even important to the story at this point?
Yeah, I mean, my theory has always been that the Blacklist is kind of fluid, and that it's whoever is the biggest threat to Reddington at that time gets higher and higher up on this list, because I never for a second thought that Liz was number one when he first showed up. He wasn't showing up because she was number one on his blacklist, but she became number one on his blacklist when she became such a massive threat to him.
This is why the whole idea of even just like the redacted part of it, whether it be what's on the art or what's like not on the art because it's shoved off on either side, it's like, does any of that even matter? Because it's like, if the list is fluid, can't Reddington then just sort of come up and be like, here's James, not James Spader. Here's a different James. He is the new number 5 on the blacklist. Like, couldn't he just theoretically do that?
Yeah, I'm sure that he could if the list is fluid. I mean, the list that it is now, yeah, he's put numbers to that. Yeah. But we do have sort of like, again, these redacted pieces that he could put who he needs to in those spots.
Let's talk about it being flipped, because this is a really interesting humdinger to me, because it is like, okay, somebody actually had to go through the effort of like doing this, of hitting that rotate button a couple of times. Like, you could excuse away a lot of other things, but this was clearly intentional.
Absolutely. And I love it, because the feeling that I got from it when I saw it, where it's like, season 9, October 21st and the blacklist, but the blacklist is upside down. I'm like, okay, so to me, this artwork tells me that they are flipping this season on its head, that it is going to be something different, like very different. And it kind of has to be, because Liz is no longer part of the show. And for 8 seasons, it was Liz and Red and the story between them. No more Liz. What happens to the show? It does get flipped on its head. And like, what is it going to look like? It's going to be, that artwork tells me that it is going to be very different.
Okay, I have something really crazy that I've just thought of.
All right.
What if this all being is turned on its head? For so long on this show, we've seen Reddington and the task force work to stop these blacklisters. What if now Reddington is actually looking for help from these blacklisters for something? Like, maybe these blacklisters are being used for quote-unquote good rather than evil. Like, maybe this is their redemption. And no, I'm not talking about that Tom Teen spinoff. I'm talking about like actual redemption for some of these people.
No, I like that idea. I mean, we've seen Reddington try to redeem himself as well. The task force has been working with them. The task force knows that there is benefit in working with criminals and being able to, do some good with that. So is it possible that these 5 people that are redacted are people that could come in and, be able to help? Is Priya on this list? Like, who's on this list? Who is it?
That's one of those sort of things where I hope we get the names and some of these numbers pretty soon. And I think that the fact that there's just sort of 5 in that window, I think it sort of speaks to how they've kind of tapped out a lot of like the higher numbers. I know we have number 2 still floating out there. We have these ones that are on this list, but then it's like, okay, unless you're doing like 3 or 4 part stories with a lot of these people, are you going to then just have like one-off episodes of, here is Blacklister Bob, who is number like 300, and he's just like so irrelevant he can't even make it onto that redacted part of the list.
Yeah, I feel like the procedural part of this show, that where it sort of started, where it was every week it was a new Blacklister, is it's been lost for a long time. I mean, this past season was very little about who the Blacklister of the week is, and was more about what was going on with Liz and Reddington and sort of that sort of thing. I think moving into this new season, they do have a choice to go back to that if they want. But now that I've seen this artwork, I'm kind of like, yeah, there's not really that many people that they're going to be going into the list. Nobody cares about Blacklister 554. Like, if you're down that far on the list, you're not that important to Reddington. And we're this deep in that we just, come on. So it really does feel like this show could be shifting even harder into that curve, that it is going to be less procedural and more sort of a serialized story.
The other sort of theory that's on my mind right now is just like, what if this is all a distraction? What if they're all just sort of like, look over here at this while they're doing something over on this other side? Because it is still like, like you said earlier, we're less than a month from the premiere, and you guys can let us know in the comments, but, for me, I have yet to see a single photo of James Spader on set of this. That they're still, and we talked about this last week, but they're hiding something from us.
Absolutely. We'll link that video for you below for what we have seen and what we haven't seen going on set. And yeah, James Spader nowhere to be seen anywhere, not online. No one's got anything that is official from actual NBC or any of the actors. They're definitely hiding something. So yes, we've dived really into this key art. Is there actually anything to it? Possibly. I mean, we know that the promos like to lead us astray with stuff, but we thought that this would be kind of a fun thing to dive in with you guys, because they've used this list over the years in a lot of different ways, and for them to bring it back, it feels like there's something more to it, and we're not just over here spinning our wheels.
Yeah, I really want to believe there's some fascinating stuff here. The upside down part of it, this is the most interested I've been in something upside down since Stranger Things, and see, I haven't really actually seen Stranger Things, and yet I'm still making that joke because I've heard of the upside down a number of times with it.
Yep.
So there we have it. That is the key art. What do you guys think this means? Is there a lot of substance here? Do you have new number 2 on the Blacklist theories? Are they just trolling us? Let us know. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button. Give us a like. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you here next time.